of General Obligation Bonds, Series 2021F. And I'm going to quickly kick it over to our city manager, who will kind of give us a description of what we're doing and where we're going here.
All right, thank you, Mayor, council members. So today is our bond sale. Earlier this morning, the market priced out our bid, or our bonds. We had 3 series of bonds in the market, and to get to this point, we had assistance from Public Financial Management, who you're familiar with, and John Burmeister, and then also Allers, a law firm, along with our own staff. I'm going to take just a quick second and inform you that poor Nick is at home. Well, he's still mending at the hospital, actually. He's home now. He is home now? Okay, good. From a very badly broken leg, and that included some extra hardware when he came home. So he's going to be pretty tender for a while. So he's not able to join us. I excused him from the sale today. But we have Joe here with us, and very capable in filling in on this duty. And so what we have is 3 very similar looking bond issues to what we've had in the past, tax exempt for capital improvement plan projects, and there's a little bit of taxable need. That's the 2nd series, I believe. And then the 3rd series is the stormwater utility capital needs. So I think with that, I'll go ahead and hand it over to Joe and John to give you what the results were, which are pretty good.
Hey, Scott, one quick question.
Sure.
Do we turn these back in, or are they proprietary, or?
No, these are public documents.
Okay.
Yep.
Mayor and Council, Joe Brandstetter, Deputy Finance Director. As Scott said, Nick is at home recovering from a pretty bad break, so I'm pinch hitting this evening. Just a few quick words before I have John Burmeister from PFM talk a little bit about today's sale. But we conducted the bond sale at 10 a.m. this morning. Our bond rating for the sale remained at AA+, which is fantastic. We had strong interest from bidders throughout the country as well. Our 2021 F issuance, the general obligation bonds that fund our CIP plan, our true interest costs for the 20 years on that issuance is 1.62, true interest costs, 1.62%. So that's remarkably low. It's a little higher than our last few issuances as the market has changed a little bit, but compared to issuances in past years, this is remarkably low. Our 2021 G taxable, that's the Blitz on Blight, true interest cost is 0.7%. And our 2021 H, our stormwater revenue bonds, that funds the CIP portion of stormwater, is 1.78% true interest costs. This is a long process from CIP planning in the winter to the actual issuance of the bonds today. I just want to thank Scott and Council for their flexibility to meet on Wednesdays for this sale and their support throughout this long process. So unless there's questions, I will turn it over to John to talk a little bit more about the detail of today's sale and PFM's involvement in that. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. John Burmeister with PFM, and I also have Jen Smith here with me. She was able to help me with all of the revisions of the numbers after we received the bids. As Joe indicated, we did have 3 bond sales earlier, and I believe inside your packet you should have something called a tabulation of bids. We like sharing this because this really shows the gravity of all of the interest that you had in your bonds. So for the Series 2021F, you'll note that this is 3 pages long, and it's like we did end up receiving 8 different bids from underwriting syndicates. And then if you start looking through the detail there, you can see that there's actually 41 different underwriters located all over the United States, as far away as North Carolina, New York, Florida. And if you kind of turn the page, there's Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Kansas, Colorado, Illinois, and in Cleveland, Ohio. So again, the city is attracting a lot of the attention of a lot of the underwriters throughout the United States. And as Joe indicated, this was a AA+, so this is a nice large size deal, so it attracted a lot of the Wall Street, the big, what I'll call the heavy hitters in Wall Street. And then the other thing to note, their compensation on this, they take a percentage. This is probably one of the lowest compensation levels that they've taken. They took $1.11 per $1,000, which, by the way, is as low as I think you've ever seen. Given the size, given the demand, they started cutting their costs down to try to win this transaction. So that is a significant reduction to the city in terms of the overall cost. And then, as Joe indicated, we did receive a premium bid on this. And we were able to decrease the size down to $89,125,000 at the 1.6263% on that transaction. And then, as Scott indicated, we have the 2021 G bonds. Those are the taxable series for the Blitz on Blight. And you'll notice that these were only a 5-year term. We're trying to finance this portion of your overall CIP shorter because this is taxable. The costs are a little bit higher. And it's 0.7%. But you can see that that's kind of deceiving because it's only 5 years long. When you start getting taxable longer, it starts increasing the overall cost of the city. We ended up getting 6 bids on this from 40 different underwriters. So this was exciting for me because this is only $5 million. Sometimes the big $98 million distracts the other bidders from bidding on these bonds because these are only $5 million. Really good interest on this bond issue, and then 0.7043. And the last but not least is the 2021 H bonds. This is the Stormwater Revenue Bonds. Again, we did get that AA+ rating confirmed, so your Stormwater Enterprise Fund is rated similar to your GO. And that's really the support of the City Council. As you guys have increased those stormwater rates, you've indicated your support of that utility and the flood mitigation and all of the other aspects of what that utility is trying to accomplish. In fact, S&P now is trying to figure out what your environmental risks are, tornadoes, flooding, climate change, and the fact that you're focusing on the watersheds and the flooding mitigation. That feeds right into what they're concerned about now with a lot of different entities. So that's good to see that you have a plan, you're implementing your plan, and this is being well received by them as well, from that perspective as well. On this transaction, we got 3 bids, and then there's 35 underwriters involved in this. And you can see that's Joe indicated we had a 1.7843% for this financing as well. And with that, I'll just open up to any other remaining questions that you might have.
Any questions? Anybody?
Sounds like Wednesday's fun day here.
Well played, Bill.
Oh, yes. If I could, Mayor. Yep. John, just quickly, in the process of resizing the tax exempt, the interest rate does change a little. And is that what we're seeing on the documents from the 1.6?
Yes, good. That's a good point. If you see that the bid is originally on the Series F, it came in at 0.1609%. And then just by virtue of taking those interest rates, we had to restructure it because we want to make sure that we meet the city's budget that you've set up for your debt service levy and your TIF budget. And so we had to kind of delay the timing of that a little bit, and it did push back the TIC a little bit higher from a 1.60 to a 1.62%. And that's more of us trying to make sure that the debt service that's produced by this matches your budget, particularly in fiscal year 22, because that budget's underway at this point. But that's a good catch. And then the other thing that you guys may see here on this tabulation of bids, do you see under the second column from the right, the true interest cost under the Wells Fargo bid, it's $16,389,000. And if you go to the second bid, you can see that's a little bit lower interest cost. It's $16.2 million. You may say, well, why are we paying more of interest? And it's really a function of the fact that Wells Fargo is going to pay you more today, about $1.5 million up front today in cash. So it's $1.5 million more today in cash to pay it back over 20 years. So on a present value basis, it drives down that TIC cost. So it's a little deceiving, and it's because you're getting more cash up front, drives that interest cost over the life of the loan.
So we're getting about $500,000 more, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, there's about a couple $1 million more is what we captured to fund the CIP. Yep.
So could I just ask a question? What Scott just talked about, the interest rate was a little different, the first item. Where, I see here 1.6090
closer than 2.
But then you said it's really 162, where
Yeah.
is that?
Down in the
So-
footnote, down in the bottom of the front page.
Where it says Citigroup?
Yeah, go to the,
The footnote.
see the little footnote right in the bottom?
Series
Oh,
2021F.
okay,
Yeah,
I
the
see,
footnote.
that's what you were talking about.
Yeah,
Okay.
so once we get the bids in, we resize it, we restructure it, and then that changes the numbers a little.
Okay, okay,
Another way to think of it is these bids come in the morning, and we have to determine who the winner is first. And so the lowest here is Wells Fargo at the 1609, and then you deal with their numbers to resize whatever resizing needs to happen. And that's, if we had chosen the second bidder, it would have gone up as well.
Right.
But even more.
okay,
And so that's the order of how it actually
okay,
happened.
now I understand.
That's a good question.
Any others? All right, thank you. Scott, do you need, on the resolution directing this sale, I think we should have a vote on this.
Highly recommended.
So moved?
All right, it's been moved, and Kay, I'd ask that you turn on the voting, and we'll go ahead and vote.
Five yes, motion carries.
All right. Let's move to resolution directing the sale of the taxable general obligation bonds, Series 2021G. I think we've kind of covered it, but any comment on this, Scott?
Again, this is the taxable piece.
Okey-doke, any questions, anybody? If there are none, could we have a motion on this one?
I'll move resolution on item 4.
Okey-doke. The item has been moved. I'll ask everybody to vote on this one.
Five yes, motion carries.
All right, item 5 is a resolution directing the sale of the Stormwater Utility Revenue Bonds, Series 2021H. Any questions on this one, council?
Mr. Mayor, I do have a question. Here it says the interest rate of 1.78, but then down below, the true interest rate decreased. So that's just the opposite of what happened with the first one that we approved. So how does it decrease? Do you see what I'm saying down here in the footnote?
It's a function of how we structure the bond. So in this particular case, we probably, given the interest rates were lower than what we had planned, we were able to amortize the principal a little bit quicker, which drove the interest cost down a little bit lower.
Okay,
So just kind of the opposite of what happened on the F-Series.
okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Good question. Seeing none?
Since I'm the storm management guy here, I'd like to move item 5.
All right, item 5's been moved.
That's five yes, motion carries.
All right, everybody, I want to thank staff and Scott, you and your team. Sounds like we had another good session, and haven't seen interest rates like this, except for this last year or so, ever. So let's keep up the good work, and let's keep our bond ratings as strong as they are, and I think we're going to see other results like this as we move forward. So unless anybody has anything else, let's call this meeting adjourned.
Adjourned.
Thank you. Thanks for attending, everybody.